All right, so now that we've seen a little bit about companies that have migrated and why we might look to migrate our 4GL applications, let's go ahead and take a look at our stores demo application that you'd be familiar with from the Informix days. Again, it's simply the stores 4GL application, and what we've done is simply recompiled the 4GLs, the per files, so that we have a program recompiled with the Genero compiler. Now the first thing we're going to do is run it in this Genero BDL workplace window, which is going to give us the equivalent of the 4GL application in a text or ASCII environment. So in order to do that, the first thing that we need to do is set the FGL GUI environment variable to 0. What that does is indicates to the runtime system that this is going to run in the text user interface. And so when I do run the stores a.42r, a compiled Genero program has a 42r extension, I'm going to get the equivalent of the 4GL application. So here's our everything working exactly as I'd expect. Let's find an order here. My escape key is selecting just as I would expect. And as I want to look at different orders, I hit escape and I can choose yes from this prompt to look at the next order if that's the order that I want to work with. And again, I can drop into an update or add a new order, etc. And the same thing is true with the customer section. Again, much as you'd expect in your standard 4GL application. All right, so now what I want to do is look at this same program but running in the graphical environment. So in other words, the Genero desktop client will interpret the same compiled 4GL code compiled under Genero and interpret that for the graphical environment. So again, I'm going to now set FGL GUI equal to 1, indicating that I want to run this in a graphical environment. And when I run the stores A program again, this time, let me slide that over, I get the program coming up with the menu panel to the right. Okay, that's a standard interpretation of the ring menu. Any display to statements are going to be written as best they can, interpreted as best they can by Genero's layout manager. You can see I have a message down here below, and you'll notice that this particular information is displaying to a window called screen. So Genero does have a root window as part of it called screen, so that when you recompile and run your program, even if you end up changing the windows that things are displaying into, you have a root window called screen. You can also just close that out as well. So let's look at our order form. Here's the same form we were using prior. Let's go ahead and find that same customer. Notice that the text attributes, such as the color here, is being kept. So Genero has kept the same attributes that have been defined for the particular fields. And we'll select this one. And when I choose OK, I get a whole another window. This is how a prompt by default comes up. And again, we will look at how we might change that or use some of the graphical widgets and things that we can use to give a better feel for things like prompts. But generally it works as expected. Again, I can still use my keyboard or I can mouse drive this particular application now. Same thing with customer, etc., all that you'd expect. So now what we're going to want to do is take a look at how we would start to migrate this application. What are some of the initial choices that we need to make, things we need to think about in order to really bring this application from just simply being interpreted for a graphical environment to really be having a better feel in a graphical environment.